Good morning, everybody. We will start without picture because it doesn't matter. We will connect it later. My name is Kosta, and I'm a co-founder of Bunker VFX Studio. It is a visual effects and animation studio that is specialized in producing high-end game trailers for any type of games or any type of platforms. And today we are here to talk a little bit about the overall situation on game market with game trailers and what could be the production steps and elements that can make high-end trailers available to everyone. I hope you don't mind. I will be using my notes from last night a lot. Oh yeah, and we have a picture. First of all, mobile gaming industry is literally the fast-growing part of the gaming industry by statistic in the last couple of years. So accordingly, the number of requests for high-end trailers for mobile games is higher every year. As a matter of fact, Bunker Studio in last 2 years worked more on projects for mobile games than PC games or other platforms or AAA games. So, why do you need a game trailer? That's a question. Big question with simple answer. It helps selling your game. Now, today, differences between mobile games and PC games are less and less visible every month, every year, in both creatively and technical terms. So it allows mobile game developers to decide between options for type of the trailer. The most common type of trailer used for mobile games until now is we say conventional gameplay trailer. It's usually produced by a game developer itself. And basically it means somebody was playing and recording, later editing, adding some titles, motion graphics, and that's it. That's the most commonly used type of trailer for official trailer, and we think that marketplace is already oversaturated with this type. There's a second type of trailer that is also produced by game developers on their own. It's trailers from game engine. Basically, using some level of a game, playing around with camera, assets, animation, adding some FX. That would be some kind of directing the trailer inside your engine and your gameplay. And it leaves a much better impression on the audience, but still there are a lot of limits for this type of trailer. And finally, there is a highly detailed post-production trailer. There are absolutely no limits in this type of trailer, and they can be adjusted and modified for any type of game or any type of mobile studio developers, so they are cost and time efficient. This type of trailers basically helps mobile game to stand out in ocean of games being released constantly. Very important thing is to understand production elements time and budget-wise. What does this mean? There are a lot of elements that can be carefully prepared in front, so they can cut down the budget and time needed for trailer. So quality of provided assets is one of the most important things in this area, because every trailer production starts with assets provided to us from clients. So accordingly to overall level of detail of those assets, topology of models, textures quality, that leaves us with a simpler or more advanced and time-consuming and cost not efficient upraising and preparing those assets for high-end visual trailer purposes. Let me show you some examples that could be interesting. Nope. Okay, nice example. This is a model provided by client. When we got it, we were not sure what we were looking at. Definitely some kind of creature with wings. After adding a texture provided by client also, we start getting idea who is this character and what is this about. Both models and textures are not even close to the quality that was requested from the client. So the first stage is to upraise everything in geometry, to upraise everything, every texture, and at the end, using look development techniques, developing our own shader for and hair realistic look, we end up with the character. The same character looks like this on the final result in the video. This is another example from the same game, same project, same trailer, also completely ununderstandable. With textures, we get a clearer picture. We upraise models on the level of detail that is required. This is medium level of detail. We very often go for a high level of detail. Make textures on our own, go through look development phase, and again, final result of the character in the video. So those examples for low poly models that are not usable to us for these purposes. They're not even close to production quality that we need, but they're usable as references for scale, as references for proportion, and very often we use them as proxy models with proxy rigs, so we can immediately start with some kind of animatic previews, layouts, and stuff like that. In some cases, we get high poly assets from developers. That is not so common situation, and it's usually when that developer was already preparing some kind of marketing material and started upraising characters by themselves. And when we get those characters, for instance, this is a soldier character for Dawn of Titans trailer, and we were really pleasantly surprised with the provided asset. After this model, which is pretty good, the rest of the work that was on our side is to make look development on our pipeline, add some hairs, furs, whatever, displacement maps. Game assets never use displacement maps. And at the end, this character final result from the video looks like this. So another important stage is number of assets. The name of this title explains the situation by itself. Basically, as more assets to build, more time, more budget, We had a lot of situation that we had to build like 26 highly detailed characters for a trailer, and it was bloody nightmare. After we did it and working on animatic, and client was cutting, adding, changing, the final result was basically we didn't have to build even half of those characters because the rest of those are not visible or they're cut out from final edit. Complexity of characters, of assets, in this situation of characters, really important phase. First of all, less complex characters are usually connected with stylized games or stylized requests for trailers. This means that they are simple in initial design, so simple forms, geometry is less detailed, textures and are simple. Usually there are no displacements. Usually there are no requests for cloth simulation or real looking hair with simulation. Basically, less work for us, even if we are building all the assets from beginning. Let me try to show you one example of less complex character. Oh. Okay, this character is for Plants vs. Zombies. I think it was called Captain Brain. As you can see, it's very simple, as I said before, but it looks interesting, and during animation everybody was like really happy about it, and it was everybody's favorite character. And this is the opposite situation where there's a request for high complexity characters. High complexity characters are usually connected with hyperreal requests, or like just realism, like Witcher or something. So many details. Design is complex by itself. This is example from one of our trailers. The accent was an absolutely natural look on the face. We need to use a huge amount of topology. We had to use extremely high resolution 8K textures for face, micro displacements. We had to split UVs into 16 UDIMs by characters. Hyper-realistic hair. There was a request for natural facial expressions, which means very, very advanced facial rig. Basically, a lot of work. Next would be number of environments. Number of environments, same as number of characters, as many different type of environments somebody wants to have in its trailer: interiors, exteriors, forest, swamp, waterfall, river passing through. Makes everybody life miserable, and a lot of time and work and money, etc., etc. And complexity of environment. This is a similar situation as character complexity. It's also pretty much connected with stylized type of games and stylized type of trailers, but it doesn't have to be. There is one trick with this that client often doesn't understand, a request for huge environments. Those are usually exteriors, and the typical situation would be they think it's one environment, exterior, but if you if you look on that environment again, you understand that on the left side there is a forest, on the right side there is a swamp with a river or something, then there is a field of grass and this and that makes it so complex that it's almost the same as we are building like 10 different environments. So there are some examples for this also. This is a good example for a simple environment. It's also from Plants vs. Zombies. This is a Colosseum from their game. Basically, 360 building Colosseum around us. One house of plants, one house of zombies, couple of lanes and stuff between, and 2.5 minutes of trailer is located in this environment. And basically, whatever you do, however you direct it, wherever character is and camera, whatever type of camera is, you always have already prepared environment. So you're not thinking about that. And example for high complex environment is environment for Dawn of Titans again. And this is a little bit situations I was mentioning before. Huge environment. This part is with rocks. This part is desert. We want to see mountains on this side, volcano on that side. That's it. Nightmare again. Another important would be visual style. Visual style is let's talk about it this way. There is a hyper-realistic visual style. The good example from very known trailers would be Cyberpunk. So this is the style that is the most complicated because we need a completely realistic final look. But again, we are usually somewhere in future or sci-fi, so everything is different. There is no ordinary building or vehicle. Everything needs to be built from scratch. Before that, you need concept art for each asset. So I would say most complicated style for any studio to do. There is this standard realistic style, like Witcher, Medal of Honor, I don't know, there are a lot of them. This is our territory mostly. Basically realistic look, but with very well-known and historically accurate or in present day accurate assets, environments, and stuff like that. There is 2D or 3D cartoony look, which is the most simple way of building the trailer. And the stylized look. This is something I would like to show you how stylized look can change production costs and timeline and overall look. Let's take a quick look on. Okay, so this is also Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2. It's a cut from the original trailer. This trailer had a lot of characters. So number of characters was big, but their stylized forms and stylized design helped us build those characters easily and not lose too much time and money on that. And also, this is also one of the rare situations when provided assets from client were really good. Another stylized would be Summoner's War, so trailer for game Summoner's War, I think it's the name. This is a little bit extreme situation because it's a combination of live action and CG. These are the characters from the beginning of the talk that were really, really, really low poly and had to be built from scratch. We didn't want to mention this type of trailers when it's combination with live action because shooting of a trailer is a lot more expensive than building a trailer in CG. So if somebody decides to do it this way, it means that it's budget, unlimited budget, and okay. There is one more thing. Overall stylus look that we showed you basically simplifies production processes in all stages and allows us to use visual tricks both in 3D and compositing in order to have the same result, final result in less time. Visual effects and simulations. Visual effects and simulations. Well, we consider two types: realistic simulations, whatever you can imagine, distractions, liquid simulations, cloth or hair simulations, realistic, weather simulations, or the sci-fi fantasy simulations like character effects. All these types of VFX are enemy number one for budget and timeline for everybody. They require top art direction because nobody knows how they should look at the end. And they require time-consuming research and development, both creatively and technically. And it's hard to simulate complex effects like earthquake and buildings going down and stuff like that. It's hard to render those things, and in order to be able actually to do that, you need to own really, really expensive technical infrastructure and artists who are the most expensive artists in our industry. So let me show you one example. Here. This is a trailer for mobile game, Heroic Magic Duel. Probably the most complex trailer we ever did. Originally, it's 3.5 minutes. It has 5 hero characters. Each character has his own spells. Each character has its own army. Army is clashing with each other. The request was we want a huge environment, we want massive fights, a lot of effects everywhere. So while you're watching, this is like a third of the trailer, maybe less. Each shot is completely covered with some kind of effects. And this was 6 months, really, really interesting 6 months, crazy and fun at the end. Everybody was really happy with this trailer at the end, and this is the first time that Bunker stand out between other studios with this trailer, the same as the good trailer will stand out the game from other games. Duration as another element. It's very, very important. It's the most common confusing element on the client side, because when talking about budget, of course. So by default, usual thought is shorter duration, less money, right? Well, it's true and it's not true. Let me try to explain. For instance, there is an original brief. We would like a 2.5 minute trailer, and here are the 50 shots. And we make our estimate, and they don't have budget for it. And then they think that if they leave 50 shots in the trailer, but cut down the length of each shot from 3 seconds to 1 second, that it's going to be 3 times cheaper. Well, that's not true, because if we already have to build those scenes and those characters to cover those 50 shots, it's pretty much the same for us. Is it going to be 1 second or 3 seconds? So if you want to cut the budget, you just don't do it with cutting the duration. So the time is up. I will skip some parts. And what I would like to tell you that it's all about idea. Here, as you can see, it's all about idea. You know the drill. Since you were born, everybody was repeating the same thing to you. It's all about idea, and they were right. What's important, do not get into the process with too high expectations, meaning this trailer will be like no other before. It's very hard to do it. It's hardly possible. Where budget and time are limited, idea is a tool. And with this tool, we can both creatively and technically optimize, but accomplish initial project idea. If you have a budget, it is a budget of time, spend it wisely. Make content rich and diverse. Use motion capture studio. Use a lot of character assets, but never forget about most important thing, and that is idea. And at the end, finally, have fun and sell your game. Thank you. That's it from me for today.